It is Monday. It's the final full week of October, which means it's the final full week of these ready to write episodes. So if you've been following along every single day or most days, thank you so much for joining me. It's really kind of you. And I really do hope that you are feeling ready to write. So as a reminder, we've been tying in with the fact that November is NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. And it's that time of the year when crazy people all over the world commit to writing 50,000 words or more in a month. It can be done. It's less than 2,000 words a day, which I know it sounds a bit crazy in one sense, but it's totally doable. And so we've been harnessing the power of that, and people come together in community. There's a website, and you can track your word count and all that good stuff. So right back at the beginning of the month, I had this nudge from Holy Spirit: help people. So this week is focused, and look at my notes and the things we'll be exploring. This week is focused very much on mind stuff. Now we've explored mind stuff already. This whole series is around mind gymnastics, but even more specifically. And then we're also going to get a little bit practical at the end of the week as well. Finishing on Monday. So we are going to have one final episode on Monday, October the 31st. The next Monday will be our final episode in this series. So if you've missed any, you can easily go back. There's playlists on YouTube and Facebook. And on the podcast, it's the last few episodes as well. So I would encourage you to go back and watch a few if you've missed them, or listen to them, because they're short and sweet and actionable. Today's episode is called Watch Your Language. And no, I'm not going to be like your school teacher telling you not to swear, waggling my finger at you. No. This ties in with something we explored right back at the beginning of this adventure, where we explored the stories that you might be telling yourself about this writing adventure. This is about the language that you use to describe the process, and how you can empower yourself and the people around you. You can empower yourself by making good choices around the words that you use and how you describe this adventure. And we're going to be digging into this a little bit more tomorrow as well, with an episode called Don't Be a Diva. But we'll get into that one tomorrow. But really, this is about recognizing that there is power in the words that you use. And so how you describe this adventure, even calling it an adventure or calling it a game or an experiment, that immediately releases a sense of fun and exploration around this. Whereas if you call it, right, let's get ready for this battle, that's a whole different endeavour. And yes, I did use a different voice to describe it like that, but even so, I can just feel the difference. It's that question: how do you approach life? Is life a game, or is life a battle? Is life an adventure, or is life a chore? And of course, I don't imagine that many people would describe life as a chore day in, day out. But it is really easy to get stuck into this sort of sense of same old. And that's not what you were created for. Yes, you'll have heard me remind you before that not every single day is going to be brilliant. But there are brilliant things in every single day, and brilliant moments in every single day. And whilst I can't promise you that you can be like, woohoo, yay, throughout every moment of this writing adventure, if you pay attention to the language that you're using to describe how it's going, it will make a difference, and you can transform the way you approach this whole endeavour and give yourself the best chance of actually getting it done. So what I want you to do, your plaything for this, and I recognise this episode is slightly shorter than other ones. I'm saying that, by the time I explain what we're going to do, it might be as long as normal. But what I want you to do is you're going to either do it on your phone or carry a notebook around with you. But for the next 24 to 48 hours, I want you to start consciously noticing the words that come out of your mouth, and also some of the thoughts that go around inside your head as well. Yes, the thoughts inside your head are yours only, with you and God. So you're not going to necessarily influence other people with those thoughts, but it will change how you feel about stuff. And as we what's that, right? Is it in Proverbs or Ecclesiastes or somewhere? It says, as a man thinks, so he is. And not just men, people. As people think, so they are. So your mind is powerful as well, and what comes out of your mouth starts in your mind. So yes, pay attention to your thoughts, but also more specifically as it relates to this, pay attention to the words that you are using, the things that come out of your mouth, not necessarily just as it pertains to writing. I want you to notice all of it for the next 24 to 48 hours. Now, if for some reason your next 24 hours is completely crazy and you just like, oh, I just can't do that right now. First of all, dig into that resistance. What is it that's getting in the way there? Because it might just be your mind giving you a hard time. However, if you've genuinely got something coming up, so say for example, if you've got a day full of exams, or, I can't think of any more examples, then yes, you do get a pass to do this tomorrow instead, or the day after. But I do want you to do this. Don't just think, oh yeah, I'll get to that. It's really important to notice the words that come out of your mouth, because I do this as well. There are a number of times where I catch myself saying something and, and those words that are not empowering, those words that are not encouraging, those words that are not life-giving for yourself and the people around you. So pay attention to the words that you speak. Pay attention to how it is that you show up. And like I say, you only need to do this as a plaything for the next 24 to 48 hours. I would encourage you to notice and write it down, whether it's a note on your phone or in your notebook or whatever. Don't rely upon your memory just to remember it all. So note it down, and then once you've noticed that was your instinctive thing to say, ask God to help you. Okay, how can I change this? So say, for example, something does happen that isn't terribly brilliant. We'll use the dog being sick on the carpet example that I've given you many times before. And you might say something like, oh, this dog, he's always sick on the carpet. I'm saying he. Those of you who know me know that my dog is called Molly. She's a girl. But it was Charlie, our little King Charles Spaniel, who I did not name. I do think that having a King Charles Spaniel called Charlie shows a distinct lack of originality. That was the name he came with. They both of them were rescues. Charlie isn't with us anymore, but bless him, he gets to live on through little stories in the podcast, because he was one for being sick on my carpet. And so, if again, I use this as a daft example, apply this to your own day-to-day, the things that come up. But say if I was to say, oh dear Charlie, he's always been sick on the carpet. That word always is simply not true. He's not always sick on the carpet. He doesn't wonder. Take this to its logical, literal end result. Is he forever walking around being sick on the carpet? No, of course not. Sometimes he's sick on the carpet. Once a week you might be sick on the carpet. You see how this goes. So pay attention to the words, the things that you are describing, the words that come out of your mouth. Note them down. And then ask God to help you, first of all, shine a light on it. Are you what's called catastrophizing? Always, every time, making it into something that it actually isn't. And ask God to help you find an alternative. How can we reframe this? Sometimes it might simply just be by not saying it and having a completely different empowering truth. But sometimes, like the example of the dog being sick on the carpet, you simply need to go, well, yeah, the dog is sick on the carpet sometimes. But, so depending on the context, it'll work both ways. But do have a play with this, because the language that you use really does make a difference. And yes, of course, as it pertains to your writing, that's particularly important. So if you hear yourself saying things like, oh, writing always feels like a struggle to get started, or I find it hard to... it's difficult to get started on my writing. That's not particularly going to encourage you to want to do it. So instead, what are we saying in this instead? Sometimes, and equally remember, you can go back and use the power of open loops to actually help you make it easier to get back to your writing each time. Have a play with it, see how you get on. Those of you who are following along and you're in the Blue House, you can, of course, share the things that come up for you in the Blue House, and we can dig into that. But wherever you're watching this, if you're watching the video version of this episode and you want to share some of the things that come up for you, do it underneath the video. Podcast listeners, I'd encourage you to come on over to the new Youier Telegram channel. It will be the easiest place for you to engage in conversation around that. And remember, of course, we do have the Rainbow Room inside the Blue House, which is our small group space dedicated to helping you plan, write, publish and market your book. So you are going to hear me remind you for the next few days, probably not every day, but I will remind you of the next few days, because we have, like I say, this is our last full week of October. And I would love it if you would come to the Rainbow Room and spend November getting your book done. You can write a book in a month. I know it sounds a bit crazy to some people, and if you tell yourself you can't, then you can't. The example I often give is my husband would love to have an old camper van, and I said, well, you could get one, and but he hasn't got the mechanical skills to do it up. I said, well, you could learn. There's YouTube videos. No, I can't. I will never be able to do that. I was like, well, yeah, if you believe that you'll never be able to do that, you're actually true. That's actually true. But the reality is, most things in life, you can learn how to do these things. And remember what we said before, you do not need to be the best writer in the world in order to write a book. You simply need to do the best that you can, God helping you, show up consistently, remembering that writing and editing are not the same thing. See how these pieces all fit together in all these different episodes? With that reminder, see if you've missed any of them, go back and watch them. But I would love it if we could start November the 1st helping you get your book written. You know, get that first draft done in November. And the beautiful thing about the Rainbow Room is once that first draft is done, we can then help you with the publishing process and then the marketing process. See, it's just brilliant. Can't take me any much credit for that, actually. It was all God's idea. And as an aside, but it's an important aside, if you ever have times in your life where you feel like pieces are kind of like, I don't know, like irrelevant, or you were kind of not operating with God during a particular season of your life and it feels like a mistake, I want to remind you, God can redeem and does redeem everything. This has been evidenced in my own life. Some of you know that, like, when I was writing fiction back in 2015, 2016, I was scratching an itch. It was something I'd always wanted to do. I'd always talked about doing, and I finally did it. Quite transparently, I wasn't writing those books with God. Some of the Charlie Diamond books have got some naughty language in them. Some of them you will know. It was a different season. Yes, I was a Christian. Yes, I was going to church, but I wasn't doing life intentionally with God in that moment. But what fascinates me, same with my VA business as well, my virtual assistant business. Yes, I was a Christian business owner, but I wasn't operating and doing it. Okay, God, what are we going to do today? It was a different season. What fascinates me though is because I did for a long time think, oh, well, you know, it's a misstep. No, there aren't any missteps. What God reminded me and showed me is actually the stuff that I learned and did as a VA and the stuff that I learned and did with the publishing has now been weaved into everything that we're doing. The fact that we have the Rainbow Room, I would not be able to offer that if it wasn't for those pieces. So for anybody, I don't know who this is for, but for anybody who needs that reminder, nothing is wasted. God can and will and is redeeming all of those pieces. And if you're not sure how, ask him. That's my quick reminder for you. Slightly off topic, but I got a nudge to share that with you, so there we go. Your plaything as a reminder, 24 to 48 hours. Notice the words that come out of your mouth. Write them down, and if they're not words that are encouraging and empowering for you or the people around you, ask God to help you find new ways to describe those things that are happening. Have fun with it, play with it. I will be back tomorrow. Like I say, tomorrow we are exploring Don't Be a Diva. The original title for this one, when we did, remember I shared with you that we did a version of this a few years ago. It was called Don't Be a Dick. So if you're a female, you can don't be a diva, and if you're a bloke, you can don't be a dick. It's really about, as a spoiler alert or a preview, it's all about how to engage in this writing adventure in a way that is not torturous for the people around you. That's where we're going tomorrow. But thank you for being here and watching and being here. Do your plaything, and I shall catch up with you tomorrow.